morning, and welcome to another fabulous episode of How Many Tabs Are Open on Mr. Johnson's Computer? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 10 for Monday, not too bad. So this week we're going to learn how to become basically a mathematician for the first time. Um, there's this thing that happens in math, and it's called the order of operations. Now, up until this point in your math career, everybody has always given you all your math problems in order. This year in fifth grade, they're not going to do that anymore. So you have to know the order. So we're going to learn something called the order of operations. Basically, it's the order that we solve the problem. All right, even a problem with no words, it's a multi-step problem. All right, so these are called expressions. They have no equal sign, so they are expressions. All right, and what we need to do is we need to simplify these expressions. Okay, so first off, let me talk about the order of operations. If you have not watched the play pause video yet, watch the play pause because that's definitely a good start. So let's just start off. Let me do a quick quiz with you. All right. So, what's the answer to that? Just take a minute. Give it a shot. Okay. So, keep your answer, keep your answer. Now, let me show you how to solve this problem as a fifth grader. So, we have to solve using this format called the order of operations. And what that means, remember, your operations are like addition, subtraction, multiplication, um, division. And then, so we're going to do those in a certain order. And so this is kind of like one of those mnemonic devices. BPMA. Boone practices math always. What that means is first, look for brackets. Do you see brackets? I don't. So next step, look for parentheses. Do you see parentheses? I don't. All right, next step, do you see multiplication or division? Ooh, I do. So that means that this is step one, this is step two, this is step three. So multiplication, division, I'm going to do that part first. All right, 1 times 0 is 0. Now, anything that I did not work on, I'm just going to copy straight down. All right, so I did my first step. I multiplied because I have to multiply and divide before I can add and subtract. It's just the rules. It's the order. It's the way that mathematicians had made sure that everybody that ever does math in the history of math does it the same way. So you have to follow this order. If I added 1 plus 1 first, I'm already going to get the wrong answer. All right. So a lot of people probably said 1 plus 1 is 3 times 0 is 0 plus 1 is 1 and got the answer 1. That's not the answer though, because we have to multiply first. So 1 times 0 turns into 0. So now it's 1 plus 1 plus 0 plus 1. 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 0 is still 2, plus 1 is 3. So our answer is actually 3. Okay? Now, the reason why I show you with this simple problem is because most people, um, when I first give them this problem, don't realize that you have to multiply before you add and subtract. So this is the order of operations. Multiply and divide before you add and subtract. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to use that same knowledge and look at the two problems from our discussion today, or the one problem that they solved in two different ways. So they did 8 minus 2 times 3. Oops. So we're going to do 8 minus 2 times 3. And then they did the same thing on the other side. Now here's the problem. One of these, they followed the order of operations. One of these, they did not. So let's find out which one follows the order of operations. Obviously, we do not have any brackets or parentheses on these problems. So what we're going to focus on is just make sure that you multiply and divide before you add and subtract. All right, so multiply and divide before you add and subtract. So let's try that. Let's actually copy down what they had, and then we can compare. All right, so on this side, they said 8 minus 6, and then they got 2. And on this side, they said 6 times 3, and then they got 18. So one of these is right, and one of these is wrong. Okay, one of these is absolutely correct, and one of these is absolutely incorrect. The reason why is because of the order of operations. All right, order of operations. So the first thing we need to do is multiply and divide. Once again, there's no brackets, there's no parentheses, so we need to go and multiply and divide. So 8 minus 2, that's subtraction. We cannot do that first. 2 times 3, that's multiplication. We'll do that first. Okay, 2 times 3 is 6. So as you can see, all they did is copied down the answer to 2 times 3 below, and then the subtraction sign was copied down, and the 8 was copied down. And then 8 minus 6 is 2. So when you simplify an expression, it can look like pizza or a snow cone, whatever you want. But as you see, every line that you go down, your expression gets smaller. You could say that um, how many pieces of pizza did you eat last night? Oh, I had 8 minus 2 times 3 pieces of pizza. That doesn't make sense. I had 8 minus 6 pieces of pizza. Still doesn't make sense. I had 2 pieces of pizza. Okay, that makes sense. So a simplified expression is the simplest way to answer the problem, all right? And 8 minus 2 times 3, that's kind of complicated to say. 8 minus 6, still kind of complicated to say. 2, it's not complicated. All right, let's see what they did on this side. So we have 6 times 3. It looks like what they did is they subtracted 8 minus 2 to get 6 and then copied that down. Now, we know for a fact that this is wrong because we have to multiply first and they subtracted first. Remember, multiplying and dividing will happen before addition and subtraction. So on this one, they subtracted before they multiplied, and on this side, they multiplied before they subtracted. So this one, oops, this one is a big fat check. Hooray. Yay. This is correct because they multiplied first. All right. They multiplied first. And then this one over here on the right is no good because they subtracted first. And you have to multiply and divide before you add and subtract. If you've been asking yourself, like, why have I not gotten problems wrong in the past? That's because, like, in fourth grade and stuff, they always gave you problems that look like this. So even if you solved it from left to right, you did the multiplication part first. All right. So if you've been thinking, like, why have I never heard of this before? It's because every single time that you've gotten a problem with more than one thing in it, like more than one operation, in fourth grade, they always they put the multiplication or division part first. This year, that is not the case. Sometimes they are going to put the multiplication part at the end. So let's say that you have 2 plus 3 times 6. Remember, you have to multiply before you add because multiply and divide is the first step. Add and subtract is the second step. All right. So Boone practices math always, and then when you get older, the order of operations will look like this. PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. That's how your parents probably learned it. That's how I learned it. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, which is parentheses. The reason why we don't do this one in fifth grade is because you will not have experience with exponents. Exponents are like when you see that little number up there, that's an exponent. So that's like to the power of, and then multiply, divide. Remember those steps happen together, and then add and subtract. Those steps happen together. um, also, another tip. Let's say that you have two. Let's try 4 divided by 2 times 3. Even though multiplication and division are one step, like as you can see right here, and as you can see right here, you just solve it from left to right. It does not matter. Like, don't multiply before you divide if division comes first in the problem. Just do all the multiplication and division steps first from left to right. So you do not multiply 2 times 3 first because multiplication and division just happen together. Just do the problem like you always have from left to right. 4 divided by 2 is 2 times 3. 2 times 3 is 6. All right. So once again, I just did 4 divided by 2 and got 2. And then I brought down my multiplication sign of my 3 and then got 2 times 3, which gave me 6. So Boone practices math always is a good way to remember it in fifth grade, BPMA, brackets, parentheses, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. And then when you get older, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. All right, so when we go back, let's see, how are the two expressions the same? They are exactly the same. They have the exact same numbers. How are the two expressions different? One of them was solved incorrectly on the second example over here. The person who solved it did subtraction before they did multiplication. So they solved it incorrectly. So I noticed that they are the same expression. I noticed that they have two different answers. I noticed that there are two different ways of solving. I noticed that they are solved different ways. I wonder why the person solved it incorrectly on the right side. I wonder why we use the order of operations. I noticed that on the left side that they multiplied first. I noticed that on the right side they subtracted first. These are all things that you can use for the stems. Remember, use all four stems in your responses. Um, that helps build those connections. This thing that we're learning right now, obviously, it is going to be the foundation for everything that you do in math. You have to know what order to solve in. And remember, up until today, they've always given you problems in the correct order. And now, from today through the rest of your life, they can mix problems up however they want because now you have the key, you have the decoder, you have the order of operations. All right, so with that new superpower, go out into the world and math like you've never mathed before. Like and subscribe, and I hope you have a superior day, and I hope that everything goes splendidly, and I hope that I see you soon. Talk to your teachers if you need help. I'm gonna stop talking like that. And yeah, have a good day. See you later. Bye.